Yeah. So there are different phases of data collection, and as I said, of course, just by thinking about a topic and then working on your interview schedule or research instrument, developing the instrument, depending on what kind of study are you doing, whether you are doing a quantitative study or qualitative study. So depending on that, you develop your research instrument, and then most importantly, now how do you enter into the community? What are the steps that you need to keep in mind? What are the ethics that you need to keep in mind? While doing your while for data collection work. So that is a very important thing, because the way you as a researcher you approach your community, your social system, that will determine whether you will be able to collect the data well, and also to what extent the persons are cooperating with you, your respondents are cooperating with you for giving you the required information. Many times when people these days, especially in the rural India, have got so used to survey thing and all that, they many times they just refuse and they say, "No, we are not going to give you any, we are not going to talk to you." They will just close the door, or they will just refuse point blankly there. So then that should be your, you should have the skill as a researcher to uh, develop that rapport with your respondents, to develop that good familiarity with your respondents, to be able to collect the data. So how do you go about convincing them? So you, of course, first thing is you need permission from the authorities to where you are going to conduct the study. So wherever you are visiting, permission of the authorities is a must. And that is the first step. As you move on, you talk to the community leaders and others to seek their consent also, that you need to introduce your research to them, you need to tell them what are the objectives of your research, why you are doing and conducting it. So all this, basically this is the rapport building stage, which helps you in collecting your data with utmost sincerity, and with you get authentic data from the people. So that should be an attempt on from all of us as researchers. So gaining familiarity with your respondents, gaining familiarity with the community where you are going is very, very important, because there is certainly a lot of reservation amongst the people, because you all are alien to them. So if you are doing a research on tribal issues and you go to a tribal land, and if some of you are working in such areas, you will know how difficult it is to collect the data from there. They have their unique, unique way of life, their own customary laws and everything. So unless until they have that confidence on you, they will also not divulge many information. So for that, as a researcher, it is of utmost important that we kind of understand them, take some time in understanding their life, way of life, and then posing questions to them. So once a researcher has entered into the system, he or she must feel his or her way around, getting to know the respondent and the environment. And you must also get sensitized to the mannerisms, to the routine life of the respondents, how they think, how they interact, how they use language and gestures. This is particularly in case of a study where you are doing a very in-depth study, ethnographic study, or very in-depth study with few people of a community, and you want to understand their way of life, their living patterns, their eating patterns, their food habits, or like how a particular scheme is being implemented there and how they are benefiting out of it. So which can happen when you talk to them in a most most in a take 2-3 days time talking to them, record the notes with you, and that is how you can analyze those notes to tell them about, to tell the the one who's reading your report about your findings clearly. So as a researcher, you have to have a very sensitive bent of mind also, that is trying to be sensitive to the issues that concerns them, and also be sensitized to their way of life. And that is how you can you can approach them more comfortably. So the next phase, okay, once, so the pilot study and pre-testing of your research instrument. This is not the next phase. This actually comes a little at the beginning, when you are planning, done your study, understand your sampling and all is done, and then you're planning to develop your research instrument. So pre-testing your research instrument is also very, very important. How does it help you? many a times when you frame the questions and all, it the wordings of the questions, the way they are placed, may not sometimes they're so jumbled up, may not convey the same meaning which we would ideally would want to convey to the participants or to the respondents. So a pre-testing of the schedule or the study that you are going to do will actually help you to take it ahead, and in terms of how efficient is your schedule that you have developed, and whether the meaning that you are trying to convey through your questions is rightly being captured by the respondents or not, and whether they are able to understand and respond accordingly or not. So these things gets more clear, and more clarity you will get on all this when a schedule is kind of pre-tested. So a small pilot study can be conducted based on the research instrument that you have developed, to kind of understand the problems that you might face at the later stage. So those problems can be resolved at this stage when you undertake a small pilot study. And pilot study may not be in the same area or community, it can be in a community which is more or less same like that. So supposing you are doing in a village your main study, you can always conduct a small pilot study in a slum area in a city or something, with some respondents, selected 10 or 12 or 15 respondents, just to check your questionnaire, to understand your schedule, and to carry out to basically look at the various variables and all that you have put in place, whether they are able to explain them properly or not, and all of that can be refined at this stage. And therefore the questions that you are formulating this is a very important part now, where uh, the questions that you're formulating should be meaningful enough and pertaining to the objectives that you have set for your study. And because that is how the respondent receives it, so that is the clarity should be there. Now the next phase is the recording and coding of information. So if you're doing a qualitative study wherein you are just talking, getting the answers through a conversation mode, it is better to carry a small recorder or a small something where you record the data, whatever it is being said, and the same thing you can analyze, and then put them into different themes as per your objectives and analyze your data. Sometimes, of course, if you're using interview schedules, they're already pre-coded schedules. The questionnaire is already pre-coded. In such cases, you just have to fill up those blanks wherever they are there, and then record the data accordingly. So particularly in case of quantitative study, once you have recorded the data in the field, based on your interview schedule, which has pre-coded questions, you can come back and always cross-check and validate your data. That is a very important thing to do. We sometimes, when you cross-check, you will find that some data is missing, some data is not there, and you may have to, or somewhere there is more clarification required, something is entered wrongly. So as a researcher, you might like to go back to the same person. If they are close by, near to your area, you might like to visit again and get it checked. So this is a part of cross-checking, validating your data, which is actually very important, because unless you clear and clean your data at that stage, it will not give you a very good analysis when you are doing your analysis of the study. So something sometimes missing, incorrect data can be rectified at that point in time. And if you're doing a qualitative study where you are just trying to talk to the persons and getting the information, recording it and all that, so you jot down those points and all, there also you can come back, read it. If you find something is missing, go back and ask them and get it sorted. And that is an important component of any kind of research. And of course, the data collection process also involves, at the same time, as I said, reviewing of literature is something which starts from the beginning and can continue till the end of the report submission stage. So data collection process also involves reviewing of literature. And yes, as I said, you do a small pilot study before you start you enter into your own community to do the data collection work, and posing the right kind of questions, recording and coding it, cross-checking, validating. All these are part of the data collection process. So again, this depends from study to study. Some studies may not require such rigorous processes. Some studies will require such rigorous processes. All depends on what is the nature of your study and what objectives you have in your studies. Analysis of the data again will depend on what kind of research design you have adapted. So if it is a quantitative research design, these are very normal. We all do it, and you must be doing it at your workplaces also. Coding and tabulation, that is a very common thing. And of course, if you are using statistical techniques, these days you all know number of software packages are available for analyzing quantitative data, for analyzing qualitative data. So those softwares can be used for analyzing the data. So whether you are doing a quantitative analysis, a qualitative analysis, and then of course, so for analysis of data, now, when we generalize the findings, remember one thing that for doing a quantitative, when you're doing a quantitative study, which is a large scale study, which has a huge sample size, those studies are always very, convenient to draw generalizations based on the conclusions. You can generalize those findings because then you will have to say that you can generalize those findings because then you have to you can replicate those studies. But in qualitative studies, it is little difficult to generalize because the sample size in qualitative data is small. And the major difference between quantitative and qualitative is in quantitative, you gather data in the form of words. You're talking to persons, getting their views, perceptions, and opinions, and and that is something which we analyze. So even with few number of people, a lot of data can be collected. But quantitative, it is always in terms of numbers. And when you're talking of numbers, a huge sample size or a huge number can give you a more convenient base to analyze and generalize your findings. So after that comes your preparation of the report. So once your data analysis part is over, now there are different ways by which you can do that. After that is over, you come to you have generated your tables and all of that. The next step is preparation of the report. So this researcher has to prepare the report of what has been studied by him or her. And the report of the survey is what? Like supposing you've done a survey, is basically conclusive evidence that contains in brief the procedures that you have adopted, that is the methodology that you have adopted for your study, how you've gone about deciding your study area, your sample design, your methods of data collection, what tools have you used, and how you have analyzed, and what has been your findings. All that would come in the preparation of your report. Along with that, you can also mention about the limitations of the study. So every study has something or the other, some or the other limitation. And the constraints experienced during conducting the study must be stated. So every study has its own limitations. Also, there are a number of constraints which we as researchers faced while doing a study. It could be in the phase of data collection. It could be during the phase of analysis of your data. It could be, so these are the different constraints. You may have resource constraints. You may have technical, infrastructure constraints. Many constraints can be there depending on how you're doing it. If required, that can also be mentioned in the study report. And they do not so yes, like these are important ones. Of course, there are no steps as such which should be followed by what, but generally in most of the study reports, we do find these issues highlighted. And the report writing is basically the culmination of your entire research process, and which is a very daunting task for any researcher. So all the material that you have collected, all the labor that you have put in, all the money that you have invested in your project, it all goes waste unless you produce a good report and present it to your readers. So your readers could be anyone. They could be someone from the academic community. They could be someone from your organization, work organization, who will read the report and come to some conclusion about some findings. And it could be policymakers, it could be a layman also. So report writing has to be therefore very, very effective, very purposeful, with clear communications that goes. And also The form, content, and style of report writing will determine how you are kind of diffusing your findings into the larger community. Okay, so that is very, very important. So therefore, for writing a report, because we keep we are not writing report just as an academic research, but also from the point of view of the research that we carry out in our workplaces, in different organizations. So certain basic considerations are important to keep in mind for drafting the report. Now, firstly, who is your target group? Who would be reading your report? How will it benefit them? And that is an important criteria to keep in mind. So the researcher must first of all identify the target group, who can be specialists, people who are familiar with the subject, or it could be the bureaucrats, it could be the the administrators, it could be anyone from the public or private sector. So we do keep doing research studies, small or big, everywhere, and therefore one has to understand who is my target group, who's going to read my report, and therefore you have to prepare it accordingly. So for your purpose, in the third semester, when you are doing a project report and you are submitting it to us, it will be purely an academic report. So therefore, very steps should be kept in mind. Those considerations you must keep in mind. Otherwise it is just a waste. So that is one important aspect. Now, when you are identifying the target group, that is who's going to read your report and who's going to evaluate and draw, get benefited out of it, you also, that gives you some, some hint at what the target group wants to know. So the researcher must understand what the target group wants to know and how this information can be best presented to the target group. So therefore, the clarity part should be kept in mind absolutely. The terminology that you're using, the concepts, the way you are defining it, the words that you are using should be very, very clear to the researcher himself. अगर आपको ही उसमें clear clarity नहीं है, क्या वर्ड्स यूज कर रहे हैं उसको समझा नहीं पा रहे हैं, क्यों ये चीज को लिया उसको नहीं समझा पा रहे हैं, then absolutely it is a useless report. So such things should be taken into mind in consideration, and then you should proceed ahead. And the clarifying the problem, that is the problem statement that you have used in your research, the objectives that you have used in your study should be properly in your analysis part, where you are drawing your conclusions, you are trying to understand the findings, that should match with your objectives that you have set for your research. कभी कभी objective कुछ और होता है, title कुछ और होता है, findings कुछ और होते हैं. So keep that in mind, that is all well, that is to be connected, because at the end, when the questions are put to you, this is all a part of the entire study. So accordingly, you have to one has to talk about it. Then, of course, free flow of language. Any research report, for that matter, should be free of jargons. You have to take care of any grammatical errors if there are there. That should not come. Any spelling error should not come. Present rather than past tense should be used. So that is how one actually writes a good report. And reasonable size ke hone chahiye report, not too big, not too small. Then people get bored reading your report. So all that, how colorful you make it, how picturesque you make it, how you present your finding data through pictures and through other things, that also makes a big difference. And broad outlines should be prepared before writing the report. Basically, बहुत लोग भूल जाते हैं chapterization करना and all that. So that, what your report contains, the first page outline should be very clearly mentioned. And then the other part is the contents of the report. So the report should be very properly chapterized. We all know, whenever we submit reports anywhere, I'm sure you all must be doing this. Any short document, any short report should be well chapterized. So your abstract, it should begin with an abstract which is more or less about 120 to 125 words, and that is what talks about the entire report. So that is basically the summary kind of thing, which talks about the study. And there should be clarity about the research design, that is the sample plan, the number of respondents used, the process of selection of the respondents, method of data collection, how you have analyzed your data, that is the method of data analysis, and use of all these statistical procedures that you have used for analyzing your data. Everything should be clearly mentioned. And the report should also present the results of the study. And if you have taken support of any theoretical propositions, that should also be very clearly mentioned. So a good report must make frank confessions about the limitations of the research, so that the reader is in a position to understand the problem, keeping in mind those limitations. Now, supposing when you submit us your research study report after your 6 months of study, we as evaluators would look into it and then try to draw the connections between what you are saying at every step of your report. So therefore, it is said that everything should be clearly mentioned. If there has been any constraints, any limitations, all of that should be very clearly mentioned throughout. And the report should end with a good bibliography. How to write a bibliography, I will tell you, but ensure that every report that you prepare should also always end with good bibliography. And if you have anything, you may be having an interview schedule, you may be having an interview guide, those can be attached at the end as appendix. So any questions still here? Should we move ahead?